Cooper. They give him a big round coming in. They'll give him a bigger round going out. Now Altizer holding the horse. Nod Roy. Now let's rope. Let's beat him for the round, Roy. Let's end it. Show him how the gold rides in Oklahoma. We've got a new record winner there. That is the Roy Cooper.
There were 2 times in my childhood when we left a rodeo and I asked my dad, what was that? One was the first time I ever heard Bob Tallman announce a rodeo at Lake Comanche in California, and the other was also in California at the Cow Palace in 1976, the first time I ever watched this rookie kid named Roy Cooper rope. I had never seen anything like it, and neither had anybody else.
Get down.
You see Raven ask you about Ruth.
Hey, Jordan, call your dogs. Roy changed rodeo. He changed the way you did it. You know, when he came in there, he was planes, trains, and automobiles, and everybody kind of followed suit. And then, but he changed the world of calf roping.
And Roy, you know how he talk, he uses his hands. Now look here. You know how them bull riders down there, and like at Don Gay and like at Bobby Steiner, and you know, you can just see him talking with your hands like this. He said, they got cool down on their end of the arena. We gonna bring cool to our end of the arena. When I throw my hands up, I'm gonna throw hands up like I'm done. When you throw them steers, I want you to bring a little enthusiasm. Because if we don't bring no cool to our end of the arena, we just gonna be like the rest of these. And he invented that and told me not only when we was gonna be champions, how we was gonna be champions, and how we was gonna act doing it. I guess it worked pretty good for us.
Before the jackpot at San Angelo, every year the big jackpot, well, about a week or 4 or 5 days before Roy called me, he said, what are you riding at Angelo? In the calf roping. And I said, well, I don't know. And he said, you're going to ride my horse, Old Charlie, which I knew he was a really nice horse. Anyway, get out there and I ride Old Charlie and end up winning the roping on him. And I think Roy was as happy about that as, I know he was, as if he'd have won it, you know. And just a good friend, a great friend.
Calf roping's never been the same since Roy Cooper showed up, and it's hard to name someone with more impact on every guy who followed, Joby, Fred Whitfield, and Cody Hill included. The Super Looper changed the game for the rest of time, and those will be the first guys to tell you that.
All the people in this arena today, they either learned from watching him or whoever taught them how to rope came from Roy Cooper.
He definitely, always was willing to help me, always, pushing me to get better, and always was watching his clips and looking at his pictures. And every time I would go over there, we'd sit down in his little office and we'd look at where he matched roped this guy and where he had written down what rodeos he went to and what horse he rode there and how many times he placed at that rodeo. He had it all written down. We would go through it and he'd show me. And
now it's just back to Roy Cooper's way. Look at the difference, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's nothing inconsistent. It's just win, 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 win. That's the difference, you know?
He's a legend of the sport, and he's changed the game for sure, and he's definitely changed how I go about doing stuff.
Roy won the world. I forget one year it was still at Oklahoma City. And he calls me and he said, hey, I got whatever horses he had. George and Norma and me and Sherry are going to go to Cancun. Can I drop the horses off there, leave them 3 or 4 days? I saw him 2 weeks later. That's about it. That's good.
That was only one time.
Yeah, that was it. That was it. Yeah.
Roy loved the spotlight, and the spotlight loved him. Roy lived a very large life. He got more out of his 69 years here than most people would if they had 120. Good for the Super Looper.
You gotta tell that funny one though.
Which one?
Well, there's 2 of them that I think are the funniest. I'm gonna let you start with that one at Calgary when you and him and Fred were coming back. That's one of my favorites.
Well, me and Roy and Fred, we flew to Calgary, 1990s, me and Fred's rookie year. That time, Fred, I don't know, he was top 3 or 4, and I was 7th or 8th, Roy's 9th or 10th. Me and Roy won something in the round, and we're flying back, and we might have been having a toddy, and we're on that airplane phone, and I've called my mom, and we've called Sherry, and
So Roy, he says, man, Fred, why didn't you just slow down across that calf, put 2 wraps of hooey, man, you'd probably won the round. And Fred, like I said, at the time, I think he had 33,001. I had 24, and Roy had 18, or whatever it was. And
He was down in the stands a little
yeah,
bit.
Roy was down a little bit. And Fred looked over and he said, well, Roy, how much money you got won? Roy said, $1,700,000. How much you got, Freddie? And then there was silence. But I mean, just so many stories like that. And believe me, Fred, don't be mad. You remember that story.
I was a little bitty, I don't even know, probably 4 years old, riding around on the pony at the Roy Cooper's roping at Lazy E. Mom and Dad were helping him put it on and stuff, and I'm riding around on the pony. I don't want to get off, won't get off. So I crap myself, and I ride up there to Mom, and she's timing. I said, Mom. And he's like, what you need, baby? I'll help you. I was like, no. I need to change my diaper. He's like, oh, no, I'm out on that. Mom, get over here. But he always liked to tell that story. That every time I walk up, no matter who was there, he would tell him about that time where I was 4 years old at Lazy, where he almost changed my diaper.
One time we got in an airplane from Las Vegas to Hayward, California. John Pabugin's plane. He was flying us over there, and we got over some mountains over there just coming out of Bakersfield. And the plane went, huh, huh, huh. And Roy, he's getting all excited, and Pabugin turns around and says, well, if we go down, that's going to let Willie Moody be number 1 instead of number 3.
Roy loved people and just would give you the shirt off his back, pay your fees if you needed it, buy your $100 steak, say, oh, hell, you don't owe me nothing for that plane ride, buy that fuel for them planes. I don't know how many of them I went on with him. How many? Hundreds.
Maybe buy them Sea-Doos that me and Blair messed up.
Y'all crashed at Grand Lake.
And Vanita, he said, man, you got to get off this lake. This ain't no damn Colt out there in Lee County. Gosh damn, son. We sunk over the handlebars. He said, man, you get back in the boat.
That's right.
I've had enough of you.
That's right.
This would have been in '94. Me and him was on our way back. I think it was from Lubbock. We was in a little Dodge 3/4 ton with a little Capri camper, 1-horse trailer. And it had the boot in the, where you could crawl through from front to back. Roy's driving, we going down the road. And state trooper pulls in behind us. It's probably 11 o'clock that night. Roy pulls over, tells me, he says, hand me my jacket. It's laying right there on the bed. So I just grab a jacket and I hand it to him. He looks at it. It was my jacket. No, give me mine. So I hand him his. And back then, that's when cops pulled you over, you got out. Went back there. He goes back there and comes back. He don't stay back there 2 minutes. He gets in the truck, shuts the door. He said, points at his jacket like that at his name. He saw my jacket. He said, you Roy Cooper? Said, I watch you on TV. Thank you. Sat there a second. I said, well, Roy, did you give him your license? Yeah. So you don't think you could read your name off your license? You had to have that NFR jacket on? He said, I didn't think about that. But I'm going to say it was the jacket.
Me and my brother, my dad, and Charlie Lynn and a couple others flew in on Ed Gaylord's plane that afternoon and had a room. Anyway, Roy Cooper and Kim Grip, they flew in a little later, and they didn't have no one to pick them up, so they went looking through the car to see if they can find one that had keys in it. And I guess a guy was going to fly in later, and somebody had left him the car. And anyway, we roped that afternoon, went back to the motel and got our stuff, and we was eating, and we was needing a ride back to the airport. Roy was sitting there, and he said, I got a ride right here. Well, just take this car. And we said, rent car? We didn't think there wasn't no rent cars out there. Yeah, it's kind of a rent car. And my brother, he said, well, where do we park it? He goes, it don't matter, just anywhere out there, it'll be fine. Just leave the keys in it. So my brother, he grabbed the keys, and we took off to the car, and My brother, he went to put the keys in the trunk to put our stuff in there, and the cops pulled up. And they were wanting to know where we got that car. And we never really told them that Roy done it, and Kim, but they were wanting to take us in all in. They brought the paddy wagon in, and they were gonna load us all up. And old Barry Burt come out there, and he kind of calmed them down, but we didn't take that car.
A couple weeks ago, there's a restaurant over there at home that makes shrimp, and a battered shrimp, and Roy loved it. So he said, "Hey, when are you gonna bring me some more of that shrimp?" And I said, "Hey, I'm loose tonight. I'll probably come that way and bring it over to you." So I bring it over there, and so every time they put fries or salads, he liked all their sides. Key lime pie, he loved their key lime pie. So that night they put coleslaw in there. So I open it up right there. He's sitting there in the living room, and he said, "Hot damn, go over there and get some of my barbecue sauce out of the refrigerator." So I go over and get the Roy Cooper barbecue sauce out of the refrigerator. And so I said, "Where do you want it?" He said, "Hell, dump it in there." So I'm dumping it. More, dump it in. That's good. He's mixing it all up. He said, "Boy, that's good stuff. Try some." I said, "All right." He goes, gets it on the shelves, and I take a bite. It's good, and I said, "Whatever you say, Coop. That's perfect." So anyway, whenever y'all are eating some coleslaw the rest of your life, put you some barbecue sauce in, and then remember Roy. But anyway, so I said, "Hey, I want this jar." I mean, I remember when it came out a long time ago. I said, "I want that jar." He said, "He'll take it." He said, I got a bunch more. So a couple days later, I'm telling Clay Tom, and he said, "Hot damn, that barbecue sauce was 10 years old 10 years ago." And I said, "Well, shit, he's got more stash." So we got a big laugh out of that.
We were headed across from Guthrie from the Lazy E when they had that big rope and they opened it. And we were headed to Odessa. And we got out there until we hit the ice and the snow, and it got nasty. And you had that little that little Weston Holler that you were so proud of, that we get hot. And we were sliding around, and we pulled over, and Randy's with us, and he said, "We gotta get the chains out." Hands me a chain. It's a little short chain. It's got chains hooked in the middle. I'm like, "Hey, Soup." And he's like, "What?" I said, "Who's gonna pull us?" And he looked at me, he said, "Pull us? They're for the tires, boy. You ever seen bad weather?" And I said, "Not like this." A lot of firsts.
One of them first Copenhagen Skull ropings, we went up there. Of course, Dad had to go see Ernie and Roy, and they were right ahead of us. And Ernie pulled in there. They asked, he needed through, and they had a gate guard there. And anyway, Ernie and that guard get in a fight. They asked him if he had a gun, and Ernie gets out and gets on top of that guard, and the other guard was over there at a payphone at North Fort Worth, and Ernie looks up at Roy and he goes, "Hey, go jerk that payphone off that wall, so they don't call the cops." And so Ernie said he's fighting, doing the best he can. He looks up there, and Roy's trying to pull that payphone. He couldn't get it pulled out there. Ernie just hollering there, "Get the damn payphone jerked out." Roy, he couldn't get it pulled out.
Roy was very proud of that Triple Crown of his in 1983, and rightly so. But I'm not sure it got any better than all three of his boys making the NFR together in 2010. That had to be the Super Loopers' ultimate Triple Crown.
Man, that was such an awesome run. You can see it set up, and Cliff Cooper has impressed me a lot.
Some Cooper's dad's an 8-time world champion. Tough is now in that fraternity. And
he loved his boys, and he made no pretense of loving his boys. He loved to watch them rope. He was proud of them. He never thought they could rope without his last word instructions, which was wonderful. And as they go through life, they're going to remember all those instructions that he's told them, and look back on their dad as somebody that didn't have to have a last name. It was just Roy.
In my eyes, there will never ever be another Roy Cooper. I think there will be me as Clint Cooper, my individual self, Cliff as his individual self, and Tough as his individual self. There'll never be another Roy Cooper like there's never going to be another Michael Jordan.
talk about lightning fast. This
Roy won 8 national finals averages, 4 in the calf roping and 4 in the steer roping. The steer roping was basically a little side hustle he picked up along the way. And I mean, then he excelled to the highest level, including a world title. I mean, that was a super looper for you. And that saunter across the center stage at the Thomas and Mack when he was 40, That was something special.
Doc Hardy and Sonny Davis. Ole Young, I guess he talked him into roping steers, and Doc Hardy was going to let him borrow Barney, his horse. So anyway, of course, Roy, I don't guess they ever tied one down, but Sonny and Doc and Olin, I guess they got him out there and had the steer laid down, and I guess the golden rule was to string the bottom front leg to Tom, and he said he wasn't getting along with it very good. Sonny told him, well, just string that top one. So I guess Roy, he changed steer roping a little bit, not as much as he did calf roping, but he did change it by stringing the top leg and not the bottom.
Howdy, y'all. You're lucky to be where you are today. Sorry I can't be there, but you know, I didn't lose a friend. I lost a piece of my life. I've done 2 or 3 of these videos about Roy. Done about 50 years with him. Got some skid marks, a couple of sudden stops. Got some times to remember, and I don't want to forget any of them. A lot of people say, Roy Cooper, a little too wild for me. He wasn't wild enough. Everybody wanted to correct him about something. Let's talk about his talent, not his lifestyle. I watched this man come back in the 70s. Him and Byron Walker and a bunch of guys that roped so good. Came out of the AGRA before that. When he showed up at the finals, calf roping changed. Yeah, Trevor followed him, Joe B. He had a reason to be a part of all their lives. Flamboyant in capital letters. Talented, bigger letters yet. A passion for the rodeo business and roping. It all spelt Cooper. Somebody named him Cooper Lipper that tried to give me credit for it, and I said, I don't think it was me. And that big boy'd catch one, step off in that right stirrup in that big right hand. He'd start flanking that calf before his left foot ever hit the ground. Rarely did he miss going down the rope, 2.5, maybe 3 strides. Get to him, pick him up on this end, one flank him hand over here, and it was over. I don't have very big hands. I'm not that big a guy. Roy's fingers are that much longer than mine. The palm of his hand was about that wide. He could do things with that hand and gather those legs and roll them over low and slow down here, and then 1.5 or 2.5 and wrap me out of there. And then that big smile would come on. Tough's got it today. Coopers were made to be all around people because they had one thing that a lot of guys will never get, aren't born with. It's called a passion. It's in their blood. It's in their mind. And everything else they've done in life has been passionate. Do me a favor. Go back and find a moment in your life when you either watched him, wanted to meet him, got to meet him, or will remember him. And save that moment with passion in your mind. You will be profited by that moment. Roy, dang it. Only talked to you about once a week for the last 50 years, it seems like. As long as I have a voice, I'll tell his legacy. As long as I have a mind, I'll remember.
Well, we all know what Roy accomplished in his professional life. That's been well documented over the years. He was never lazy in his preparation as an athlete. He was very precise. He brought a professionalism to rodeo that raised the bar for everyone who came after him. He was a trailblazer in the truest sense. But what always stood out to me about Roy was his love for life. He was always glad to see you. I will remember Roy with gratitude. Gratitude for the trails he blazed and the lives he touched. Today I send lots of love to the Cooper family. God bless all of you.
Hey, for y'all that don't know, I'm Clay Tom, Roy's favorite brother. Thanks everybody for coming. From my mom and dad, my sister, and me. Roy was our hero. Everybody knows my brother did a lot of things. He had a lot of friends. He had 3 amazing kids. And he lived a life that most people dream of. What I'm the most proud of him about is when my brother died, he died a Christian. God bless us all for that. Thank you.
To have that bond with him that, you know, he respected me and who I was becoming, you know, that's just always something I'll always carry with me, you know, for, you know, till my last breath, I guess.
He had another saying that I always liked. He said, B, we go in first class. Shit, we can always get home, baby. And he lived it first class and he's home.
And always wanted to help the next person, and I'm so thankful for him.
45 years ago, I got that call, said, hey kid, you wanna come rope a match? And I hung up because I didn't know who it was. And I didn't believe it was Roy Cooper calling me. Called a lot of times each other. Been through a lot of surgeries, been through a lot of ups, been through a lot of downs, been crossed, been up, been not crossed, helped each other, saved each other, did it all. Probably 42 years, and one of the best friendships I probably could have ever had in my life. And we're gonna miss you, but you'll never be forgotten, because believe this, there's only one Super Looper.
I always said, if you want to go fast, get in with the Coop. So anyway, Coop, we're going to miss you. We've had fun. You've blessed all of us so much in life, and it's been a good ride. So we love you. We're going to miss you.
You know, everybody knows Roy. He was always up late, and I was up late lots of times, and he'd call. That's when I get to talk to Mr. Roy. There were short conversations, just checking on me. I check on him. And Roy, I'm sure going to miss those late night telephone visits.
He was a good friend. He was a picture and portrait in motion, I guess, roping calves. I'd run to the fence just to watch him rope.
It's been a blessing to be a part of his life.
It's been a big blessing to be a part of his life.
Not just when we rodeoed, or what little I rodeoed with him, but be a blessing. It's been a blessing to be a part of his retired rodeo life.
Oh, absolutely.
On a daily basis.
His favorite saying was, I got Mike Arnold to the finals and I ruined Billy Haley and Jimmy Hogg.
That's right, he said that.
He will always be the greatest calf roper in my mind that I know of, and the one that changed our sport. But I'm going to remember him for the person he was, what he's done for me personally, what he's done for everybody else.
Always giving his time, always giving his thoughts, and always giving his message to everybody. And just, that was the kind of person he is. And partner, I know I'm gonna see you again. So here's to you, buddy. Cheers. Love you.
When I'd see him every once in a while, he'd say, I'd say, Roy, what's going on? Or how you doing? He said, I got a ticket, a one-way ticket to the top. You want one?
If you want to see Roy Cooper again, you need to be saved. He and I talked a lot of times about the Lord and Scripture, and I just want to say that to everybody that's watching this. If you want to see him again, you need to be saved.
It doesn't get any better than making such a memorable, unforgettable mark. Thanks a million for all of it, Super Looper. Love you forever.
And I'll just say this, Super Looper, that's the title that you deserved. It's the title you've earned. Best I ever saw. Case dismissed. Next case.
It's like you say, and when your career's done, it's the memories, the pictures, and your friendship, your relationships. And I thank you. That's it.
Yeah, I showed up in the scene like
in the PRC 94 into 94, 95, and met Roy. And Soup was really good at pinning nicknames on everybody. And he took my initials, JV, and he just started calling me Junior Varsity from the get-go. And he's like, hey, Junior Varsity, come over here. Junior Varsity, you know, helping me out. Hey, stick that chest out when you're roping. And they ended up, you know, dealing with Junior Varsity for, I don't know, 6 months or so. And I ended up starting to win a little bit in the steer roping and ended up winning the Rookie of the Year in 95. And so I find Soup and I'm like, hey, Soup, am I still Junior Varsity? He's like, oh, no, baby, you Varsity now.
Hey everybody, it's Mac Jones, quarterback with the 49ers. I just wanted to send in a quick video of my thoughts and prayers for Roy Cooper, the Super Looper, and his family. I had the privilege to meet Roy through my longtime quarterback coach, Joe Dickinson, who is his lifelong friend. We got the chance to sit down and talk about rodeo, football, and I just wanted to learn from a GOAT. So I know he's in the Hall of Fame. He's one of the best to ever do it. And I was really thankful when he came down to our camp in Weatherford, Texas. And he brought a lot of things for me, some ropes and belts and shirts, and talked to the kids. So I think it means a lot. He definitely impacted the world, and I know the rodeo world is definitely mourning his loss.
But you know the stats. That's Roy Cooper in the arena. To me, outside the arena, he was my friend. He'd call just to chat. We've been friends since his rookie year in 1976, and I had a front row seat to all the championships and all the competitions. We lost a hero, we lost a legend, we lost a friend. But heaven gained.
Well, I wouldn't know him. I had a really good calf, and you just had to let it roll and see what happened. I made a smoke and run.
He was never at a lack of words. He could get out of more trouble than anybody I've ever seen.
Quick-witted.
At a gate or, you know, with a security guard. He just, man, looky here. I'm just going to tell you, I know you're doing your job, but I'm a super looper, all right? And they need me here to rope. We're just going to be here for about an hour, and we're going to get out of your hair. So we need to park right here.
He was a fast mover, fast talker, you know, and with a great heart. And there was what I loved about him, there was no arena that too big for him.
Roy, I guess, was at the finals in 1982. He won the world, I believe, it's that year. And at Denver, we had that's where the awards banquet was. And we get to the awards banquet and giving our speeches. And anyway, Roy gets up there, and I think he's got a place in the calf rope with an average to win the world. And anyway, he ropes his calf by a back leg. Anyway, he ends up winning, I think third, maybe in the average. I'm not sure. But anyway, on his speech, he gets up there and he goes, I give it to him. The Lord kept it on him, and I know how to tie one. I tell him that story when I was around him, and he said, no, I didn't say that. And I said, yeah, he did, Roy. You did. I remember it well. But anyway, yeah, that's what he said. I gave it to him, the Lord kept it on him, and I know how to tie one.
We watched a lot of Gunsmoke, of course, football games, basketball games, and Roy's feature of Google on his phone didn't work for some reason, but mine did. And I can tell you there's 635 episodes ever filmed of Gunsmoke. In 20 years, we had to look that up several times. Buck Taylor told me you'd say, but I can't remember. Look that up.